And that's when it started coming on TV to, 12.6 million viewers across 18 countries. You're looking at the camera angle, you're looking at the acting, you're looking at the reaction, you're looking at a million things in that little screen.
People's knowledge is based on what they can see of you. So they don't know what you know. So in your head, I run all these events, but you know what? I have a creative streak that's going to produce these movies, and I'm also going to write books and whatnot. So you know that. But if you try to tell someone that 15 years ago, they'll be like, you're crazy because you haven't done anything. And if you do it, they go like, oh, how talented you are.
Exactly.
Like, see, that's what I was trying to tell you 20 years ago. But you weren't getting
You didn't believe me then. That happens always, I guess. Then when, something within me triggered that, dude, it's not supposed to be so much investment.
You don't have to name names, but it's...
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think people don't like something that comes so easy to them. They appreciate it more when they have to work hard for it. Now I make people work hard for it. You could build a Taj Mahal and nobody knows about it. It's a wasted thing, right? So in any industry for that matter, you could have the best designer clothes. But if people don't know that you're into the business or you sell these designer clothes, it doesn't help. And that's when a company that has an outreach can help you.
I was skipping classes to go for the band photo shoot, for example, and then the band members would be fighting. In my mind, I'm thinking maybe my parents were right. His music thing's nuts. Or would he have done something like, yo, I'm the man of the house, and this is India. So we'll go where I go, not where you go.
And that's what I tell my children now, that never label yourself with, I am not good at that or I am not good at this. Then you're sort of putting yourself in a box. Don't do that. Let the whole world be open to you to whatever you want to achieve.
He's like, dude, school is one thing, industry is industry. You need to learn about the industry and all that. So I jumped at the chance. I skipped classes.
You learn way more while you're in the field. Doing things and learning from the mistakes and networking and interacting. Yeah. So it was fabulous chatting with you. And I don't even know where almost 2 hours went.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Zephyr Show. I'm glad that you guys are here with us today. Today I have with me a very special guest, Shalima Motial. She's the founder and CEO of Dreamcatchers. So thank you so much for being here, Shalima. I'm really glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I really think it is. And we're going to chat about a whole bunch of stuff. The main topic for today is you.
Okay.
But as we go through different parts of your life and then your work and your recreation and all these things, maybe we can touch on topics that are current to the planet currently based on what's going on. Things from the past, things from the future, and where the planet would be headed. And because we have this sort of spiritual connection and spiritual sort of presence in our lives going on. So I really want to talk about that as well, because I really feel like artists and art and teachers and speakers and healers and all of us, we are kind of the sort of the change makers on the planet.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not to say that some human beings aren't. I think everyone...
Exactly. Everyone's adding on value to everyone's life, right? And whatever small or big fashion that they can. So, yep.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, so let's just jump right in and keep this casual. It's supposed to be casual. It's work from home. So let's just jump right in. So yeah, you told me that you came to Singapore 18 and a half years ago, right?
That's right. Yes.
But I want to go back even before that.
Okay.
Yeah, before Singapore, because the chat is not all about work. It's about life. So I want to go back a little bit and could you tell us a little bit about your childhood and yeah, how was your childhood like? What do you remember? And so on and so forth.
Okay, that's going to be fascinating. So I'm the eldest in the house. I have 2 younger sisters, and my dad was in the Indian Air Force. So I was born in Jorhat, which is in Assam, and I did 13 years of schooling, including kindergarten and all that, in 8 different schools. So we were being, posted, transferred all over India. And the fascinating part was within 2 years, when you're kind of feeling settled in a place like, okay, now I know my way around. I've started liking my school. I've made friends. Dad would come home and say, okay, I got my transfer orders. Time to move. And we'd crib and this and that, but then we would move. And I think that's what makes most of the 4G kids, as we are called, very adaptable. Because sometimes you're posted in places you haven't even heard the names of, and there are limited number of families there, and it's not like you have a lot of choice of friends, and there's probably one person of your age group. You have to get along with that person because there is no one else. And I would always get fascinated when I would hear people say, born and brought up in so and so, say Delhi or Mumbai or Singapore. And I'm like, oh, how does that work? Like you're in one place like 20 years or 25 years of your life, and same set of friends, right from kindergarten to college and all. For us, we would keep moving. In that day and age, there was no social media. So we would write letters to each other, right? And by the time the letter would reach the other person, 2 weeks later, it was all stale news. So, but it was charming. It was fun, and I just loved it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And then that born and brought up feeling for me happened in Singapore, because I've been here 18 and a half years. And because I've moved so much growing up, that we got into this condo and never moved out of here. So we've been in the same condominium for 18 and a half years ever since we stepped foot in Singapore. So yeah, and growing up, it was fascinating because there were a lot of challenges as well. Sometimes it's the school that's very far away. Sometimes, you're going in between sessions, or your dad's already left, and then you and the mom are there finishing the session, school session, and then joining him. And imagine packing your whole house into boxes every 2 years or every 3 years, and then starting your life all over again. So the fascinating part out of this was that you got to be a new you, because if you're going to a new school and meeting new people, they don't know who you are. So you could start afresh each time. And I loved that part of it. So if you felt that, oh, I am this and I don't like that aspect of my personality, you could change that. You could be a new Shalima in grade seven, could be new Shalima in grade nine, and leave behind the aspects you're not so proud of. So that was fun.
That's cool. So it was refreshing in a way to be able to change your identity each time when you moved around. Why did you have things to hide?
Not really, but we are not perfect human beings till date, right? So there are some aspects of you which you're not proud of. And then if you're with people who know you really well, then to bring about that sudden change isn't easy, right? But then when you're introducing yourself to a new set of people, we always put our best foot forward. And we would get that opportunity to be whoever we wanted to be every 2, 3 years. And if you're trying to always better yourself, I think that's a great place to be in.
That's true. That's so true. You did say India, right?
Mhm.
And armed forces, right? So actually, my dad's dad was actually in the Navy in India as well.
Mhm.
But he was in Mumbai. And when I was young, I actually got to go on this aircraft carrier. I believe it's called Vikrant.
Right.
But I'm a bit confused because recently I saw a YouTube clip of a new aircraft carrier being launched, also called Vikrant. So I'm like, I don't know, is it a remake or is the
Could
video
be.
not dated right or something? I don't know. But yeah, but I wanted to ask, like, so which parts of India did you move around? Was it all in the same state, or did you?
No, 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 no. So I see, I was born in Jorhat. Then I think, if I remember correctly, we went to Kanpur. Then we were in Jodhpur. Then we went to Gorakhpur. Then came to Delhi. We were in Delhi for about 4 years or so. Then went to Bangalore, south of India. From Bangalore, we went to Tejpur. That's the east side. Then from there, Digaru. Digaru is the air force station, which we hadn't heard the name of. We're like, Digaru? Yeah, we're like, where on map is that? And the reason we hadn't heard the name, because it is an Air Force station. So it's not a city by itself, it's an Air Force base, and it was 30 kilometers away from Guwahati. And I had a issue going the uphill in a transport. I would feel really giddy. And as luck would have it, and I always feel that these challenges come into your life to teach you. My school was half an hour away, which was a huge distance away because Air Force stations are small. Your school or your whatever is 5-10 minutes away. It's all within that environment. This school was half an hour, 45 minutes away. And, it would cross an entire hill to go there. And I was like, I can't be doing this. I can't be doing the 11th and 12th grade, most crucial years of high school, going in a, bus or coach in that hilly kind of thing. So I could take an Avomin, which was, the anti sick tablet, but you can't take that every single day of your life. But that's the beauty of humans, that they adapt. If you're put in a situation, there is no other option. What do? You adapt. So first 3 days I was miserable. I came home, cried each time. I don't want to go to the school. It's so far away and this and that. But when you have no other option, you just go ahead with what you have. And I adjusted very well. I stood first in my 11th grade. I became the school captain in my 12th grade. And it was all hunky dory. And after that, we moved to Delhi. So Delhi was like, we were like literally thrown in a big city. It's like you're so protected in your small little environment. Everybody knows you. You go shopping and they're like, oh, so and so's daughter, move away, give her priority and things like that. So you're so used to that attention. And suddenly you're like in a big city where nobody cares who you are, right? And suddenly so many people, and for us, they were all civilians because they were not from the forces. So anyone not from the forces is civilian, and those civilians have long hair, don't have discipline, don't come on time. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but that time in our head growing up, these were all the generalizations we'd made that, oh, they have, very long working hours, and that discipline is not there, and they don't stick to the time they've given you. And then, of course, you grow up and life takes over and it teaches you and things like that. So yeah, it was fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, thanks for sharing. It seems like a fun time. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, compared to me, like I grew up in Singapore and just went through the system. And I mean, compared to what you just described, what I did sounds so boring. But
Born and brought up, but that's what fascinated me when I didn't have that, right?
yeah.
Born and brought up in Singapore. Zephyr, cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, you talk about discipline just now, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, assuming from what you said that there was some discipline there. So do you think that impacted your pursuits today in any way, that sort of discipline?
Oh, hugely, hugely. Because my dad is a very punctual person. Anyways, in the armed forces, people are stickler for time. So there was a thing called call on, which is very fascinating, which people don't know about in the outside world, not the forces world, which is, people will call and say, oh, can I come for a call on to your place? Which is, okay, you're self-inviting yourself and you go to their house and you go have a drink, snacks, and you leave just before dinner. So a call on would happen from like 7 to 9, and kids were not a part of that, right? So it's officer to officer, and the wife would come along and they would chit chat, and it was such a beautiful thing. And we didn't know any other way growing up because that's how it was, right? And the parties were for adults, and then the parties would happen in the mess, and then the kids would get together in somebody's house and play together and stuff. And we had to make eye contact with whoever visited our house and wish them, good evening, uncle, good evening, auntie, right? So that wishing those people was such an important part of growing up. And now when I see kids, you've seen them from their nappies and now they're teenagers or whatever, they will just pass through you, you know? I don't know, it's lack of social etiquette, they're shy, they've not been taught that. And it just baffles me till date because it's like, how do you see an adult and not greet them? So my kids, even if they're a kilometer away from someone, they make it a point to say, hello, auntie, and hello, uncle. And they're known for that, yeah, Shalma's girls are the ones who will definitely greet you. So these are some of the things, discipline aspects as you were talking about. One, punctuality. Time is of the essence for yourself, for the other person you're meeting. So the call on would happen if they're saying 7:30, they will be there at sharp 7:30. You can match the clock to the bell ringing, like that. And many, many small things, like there was a ritual in our house. Sunday night, we would all sit together and polish our shoes together for school next day. Yes, we would set our school bags together. So my dad, although he had like a whole battalion of people doing that for him, right? Because we always had huge bungalows, and then there was a 2-3 bedroom servants' quarter attached to it. So in the servants' quarter, we always had like a whole family living. So someone would take care of the garden, someone was a home helper, someone was coming to polish your shoes, and like people doing different chores for you. But just so that we don't rely so much on that, my dad would sit with us and polish his own shoes. And because he had a uniform and all of that. And we would do that too. And we would set our bag because you have different timetable every day. It's not one laptop you carry and go to school. So we would set our bag every Sunday and every night because it changes every day. So every night, routine wise, and there was a fixed sleep time. That happens even now with kids because they have school early morning and they have fixed sleep time. So those small, small things, I think, add a lot to your personality. That if I'm meeting someone at 5, it doesn't mean 5:10 or it doesn't mean 5:15. 5 means 5. You respect that because it's their time and your time, both that are valuable. And then, greeting people, being social, getting along with just about anyone. Those things we took for granted because how do you do it otherwise? But that's not the case when you go out in the world. There are extroverts, there are introverts, there are people who will just completely ignore your presence. And you got to live with it then, right? So, yeah.
That's true. Actually, you touched on a couple of things which I want to ask you about. Actually, oh, I love your cup, by the way.
It says, I love you more than coffee, but not always before coffee.
That's cool. So you touched on a couple of things. You said something about being social. So I feel like that really does make the world a nicer place. Um, Although honestly, the way the world, I mean, wait, let me phrase this right because this is YouTube. So honestly, I guess everything is subjective.
Mhm.
The way the world is going, I think more and more people are waking up to the fact that there are no such like top-down standards in reality. Of course, there can be, and there have been, but if we're looking at like science and spirituality and God and atoms and molecules and all these things, there is no standard. That's it's a human standard that we put in there to do things. So the one about like personally, the one you said about being more social, that I mean that for me, I like that because when I went to Canada with my wife, because she was working for a Canadian company, and I took a holiday as well with her one time, and everyone there greets you.
Yeah.
I came back to Singapore, and I was like, wow, this is a zombie town. People are just walking past you without saying anything. So I started greeting the bus drivers. I started greeting everyone. Some people were pleasantly surprised and were like, oh, hello. They were also like, oh, I don't know Singaporeans greet people, but this is nice. And then there were others who were like, they look at you weird and they keep walking like, what's up? This guy probably wants something from me.
No, and they must be thinking an hour later also, did I know that person? That happens sometimes, right? So and so, hello, I didn't recognize that person. Do I know him? So you would have probably put them in that thought for like an hour later as well.
Yeah. There's that. And yeah, and then there's just people who are just, I don't know, I guess they have so much pain in their lives that they can't even really bring themselves to smile. Actually, that's another offshoot we can talk about later. Because for the first like 15 years of my life or 14 years, I didn't know how to smile. Like I forgot because life got so pressurizing in the Singapore school system. Or maybe it was at my home or maybe a combination. By the time I reached 14 and people start taking pictures, because that's when we started having around 13, 14, 15, about 16, 17 years old, we started having like those digital cameras became all the craze in Singapore when I was 16, 17 around there. And I realized when I was taking pictures, I was just giving this like dumb face. And my mom and some girls at the time and other friends who were boys and all that, they were like, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you smiling?" And then I looked in the mirror at home and I realized, oh shit, I don't know how to smile. Anyway, that's a side topic. So my point question to you was the one about definitely greeting someone. Do you think that could go into a different area where it is a bit forced in a sense? And maybe that could be part of the problem on earth, like forcing people to do things, even if they're positive things. Um,
Yeah, are you done?
yeah.
Okay.
We think about that topic.
No, so there are certain things that become a part of your value system, and when you grow up with them, and it's not wrong, it doesn't seem forced. It's a way of life, and you're not losing anything, right? Or if somebody was forcing somebody to bend down and touch somebody's feet, and cause all that discomfort or humiliation to them, if they felt that, I could probably still understand. But greeting someone or saying hi, hello, and acknowledging their presence is a bare minimum requirement. I mean, how do you cross someone or see someone and not say hello? Like I just can't wrap my head around that. And now, when I see, so my daughter's friends, they know that this household, if we go to, we have to say hello to uncle, auntie. Otherwise, they'll be like, hello, how come you didn't say hello? This, that, right? So it's become like a big joke in our household. They'll all come, they'll make sure they look at look at us and say hello. So
Yeah.
that's what our kids have grown up with. And it's beautiful because I've heard it from so many of my friends and even acquaintances that, oh, it just made my day. I met your daughter in the morning and so warmly she greeted me. It doesn't cost anyone anything, and we as human beings are social beings. We love that connection. We thrive on connection. And greeting someone is a very basic thing. So even the house help in my house, the first thing I tell them is when I see you first thing in the morning, the day starts with good morning. I could be saying that to you, you say that to me, but don't just wake up and come and say, okay, what for breakfast? Right? Don't ask me that. So we start the day with good morning, and that's where the day starts, and then we can talk about whatever else. So I think
Right.
some things, your question was that is it forced? No, some things that are not harming or hurting anyone enhances your life, enhances the other person's lifestyle. No, there's no forcing there. Yeah. It should be mandatory in every school. Yeah, that listen, hello. You got to look at each and everyone and greet. In fact, there's a beautiful video I saw just recently of, I think, in a Japanese school, that there's a long queue of little kindergarten kids. Of course, I'm sure it was before COVID because they were all standing in a queue and the class teacher was standing at the door. And each of them either gave her a high five or hugged her or, shook her hand or something like that. And that is the human connection we all love and crave for. And they were all excited because I could see some of them are giving high fives, some of them are hugging her and not leaving her for long. And it was just a beautiful way to start their class. It's not like, oh, we get inside the class. I don't care if you say hi, hello or not. And, just open your textbooks. That becomes very mechanical. So where is the human part there, right?
Yeah. Very true. I'm so glad you said that. I'm actually the same way. And that's a mental trigger I have in my head. Like when I wake up in the morning and I walk through the living room, of course my daughter will be running around like a bee, like flying around. So she will say something before you can say anything. But when I walk to the kitchen, I make sure like and the helper's there. I say like good morning. Her name's like Deepa, so I say good morning, Deepa. And yeah, I even when I was staying with my parents before we moved out, I innately had this feeling of like let's greet um and sort of touch base. And even when I'm walking on the street, I feel very awkward when I see a human being and like we just pretend we're not there.
Right.
But I think I take it to to another kind of extreme, like a puppy dog, you know. I like go up to person like hello, hello, you know, like I must say hello to you, even if you're showing me you're too cool for me. And so many people have come back, even inside the industry and even outside, and they've gone like, oh, like let's say my wife is walking next to me, and I just say hello to the sweeper or someone. Not usually the sweeper. We both usually say hello to the sweepers and all that. But let's say it's someone of equal I don't want to use the word equal because it makes it seem like we're splitting up the society. But let's be honest, the society is currently sort of
Right. Say a labor or someone, yeah.
yeah, I know that people like you and me and many people around the planet are trying to now take that away. But let's say we're going by the old system. Let's say I were to meet someone of a similar socioeconomic class and just be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Kind of thing. My wife after that would look at me, she's like, is that your friend? And I was, no, but he can be,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm so glad you said that. And okay, so I guess because I've been debating that myself back and forth in my head, because over time as I've gone through my own spiritual awakening and healing, I realized like, wow, I was like, okay, we can't force anyone to do anything. That's one method or path we can take. But then, like you said, and I've read some books by this lady called Dolores Cannon, I think, where her whole life or a large part of her life, she taught people this technique to go into past lives. And they explore different planets in the galaxy and things like that while they're in a trance. I went for that healing myself also, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, and so they said that on evolved planets where people are more evolved, more loving, basically, everyone sort of knows what each other's already thinking. So there's no need to hide in a sense. So, but even in that respect, it's kind of like what you become spiritually awakened. You just don't do anything or don't force anyone to do anything. There are still some things that are good for the society to function.
Absolutely. As parents, you have that responsibility to inculcate certain values in your children. So it's not like forcing them to do anything, but teaching them the right from the wrong. So that's important. In fact, I'd like to share this with you. So I take a walk in the evening and sometimes in the morning, and there are a bunch of these grandmas that walk there as well. So because I have this habit of greeting, so I would say namaste auntie even without knowing who they are, like somebody's mom, right? And so I would either say namaste or hello auntie or whatever. And so we developed this kind of a relationship wherein we would always greet each other. And if I'd not show up like 3-4 days in the evening because I have meetings, or I went for a morning walk, like the fifth day, so many of them would stop and ask me, haven't seen you only in so many days, where have you been? And I'm like, oh, so sweet, suddenly they're missing my presence there. And what is that? It's just love, right? It's nothing else. I'm just greeting them. They feel happy with my presence. I feel happy with their blessings. And one of the aunties, just stopped and say, how many rounds do you do? So I said, auntie, 6 rounds. Okay. And that's it. There's just a connection. And during COVID times, they weren't coming out, much older. And I just felt very restless on not seeing her, because just seeing her, was a very calming thing for me. She had a very calming presence. And so I was getting a bit restless, that I hope she's okay. I hope it hasn't affected her body or anything. And I knew that she lives in Pebble Bay. So each time I'd cross Pebble Bay, I'd keep looking into everybody's balcony to see if she's there. And one day she was right there. So I just went and I said, hello, auntie, how are you? She said, I'm okay. I'm not coming out for a walk. And we stood there and chatted for like good 10 minutes. Why? All because I started the whole thing with a hello, auntie every day. And there was a beautiful bond that formed, and it just adds on the power of love in the world. There is nothing being exchanged other than love. And it all starts with a hello. So, yeah.
Cool. Wow, we've spun off.
I know we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to track. Maybe you have some other questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just checking my notes here. Yeah, cool. So, okay, so eventually you moved to Singapore, right?
Right.
Delhi to Singapore.
Right.
Okay. So, why and how did that happen? And
Okay.
and don't speed through it.
Meaning what?
Don't rush through the answer.
Don't rush through the
Just
answer. Okay.
explain to us exactly what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a company in India called Stepping Stones, which is a placement company. And that was my first entrepreneurial venture. that I had. And people in India were not really used to seeing women in that space. Okay, so there were a lot of these small placement companies in a place called Nehru Place in Delhi. And they would take resumes from people who are looking for jobs and collect money from them for, in the hope that they will get them a job, and never would, revert back to them and stuff. And I thought that was unfair because, A, if the person's jobless, he doesn't have that kind of, money to keep going and giving his resume and money to different placement companies. So, as a rule, I said, okay, I'm not going to charge anything to the candidates who are applying through our company. And secondly, I started with the lower management and middle management. And I went from big company to small company to medium company saying that, we have this database of candidates because we would advertise in Times of India, Hindustan Times, gather that data and everything. And so initially, some of the HR professionals would look at me and say, okay, because Shalima, they didn't know what to expect, guy, girl, whatever. And then they would look at me and like, okay, you also give it a try. Like, no, I'm trying kind of thing, not really giving that confidence to me that they believe in me, that I will be able to do the job. And then finally, when they would get a good candidate through us, we would get paid from the company. And slowly and gradually, because I was very dedicated to what I was doing, my company grew. I had some 5 people on my payroll and I was loving it. And, being your own boss has a different kick to it. And so I was on retainer basis with a couple of companies. So any requirement they had, we would fulfill it and they would pay us like on a monthly basis, a flat fee, whatever. And I remember it was very satisfying as well because I remember there was this lady who called me from Chandigarh, and her son came with a box of sweets. And madam, you got me a job. This is for you. My mom wants to talk to you, and she's going to call you. And she called, and she says, "Thank you so much. You're doing social service." So I said, "No." So she said, "Oh, you got my son a job, and you didn't charge him anything. So you must be doing social service." So I said, "No, ma'am, I get paid from the company that he's working at, but yeah, thank you, for your love and blessings and all that." So through my 3 years of having stepping stones operate, I think I got some 100 to 125 people a job, right? And it was very satisfying. Then hit recession. And obviously, I had to let go of the staff. People were not hiring anymore. And I was also at a phase in my life where we were looking at starting the family. So, I was expecting my first child. And when she was 6 months, my husband Himanshu got an opportunity to move to Singapore with Microsoft. Now, my company had kind of wound up. I was a new mommy, so a new phase of life. And though I was very against moving because I'd done that all my life, and now we had a new house and, our own house, the very first house we bought, and the feeling of settled, settled finally in one house. And I kind of imagined myself retiring in that house, right? Because I was so averse to moving anymore. And then my mom came. My parents were in Canada that time, and so they came visiting, and they said, it's good for his career and it's a beautiful country. Give it a shot. Go there maybe 2, 3 years. Come back. You have your house anyways here. And very reluctantly, with some tears in my eyes and major drama, the drama queen that I always was, moved to Singapore. Within 6 months of moving here, I had decided there's no going back. I loved Singapore. I just absolutely loved it. And then we had very good friends who we already knew, and we came to them in the condominium. We chose the condominium because we had our friends here. And I settled like fish in water. And so I enjoyed my life here as an expat, while Himanshu had joined Microsoft, he was working, my kid was growing up. So I didn't even think of starting work or doing anything. But because I'd started working when I was just 19, it was in my DNA to keep doing something or the other. Right. So I was a cabin crew. I'd done fashion designing. I worked as a fashion coordinator back then. Then I started my own company called Stepping Stones. In between that, I also worked at Perfect Relations, a PR company. So I'd always been working, working, working. And after enjoying here for 2, 3 years, parties and lunches and this and that, suddenly that restlessness, that feeling of, oh, I'm just not for this, right? I have to do something else with my life kind of thing kicked in. And that's when I started my business called Shy Ventures. So Shai is my pet name. And that time there were not too many Indian clothes in Singapore. And whatever I would wear, which I would get from India, because I'd done fashion designing as well. And my friend had her own unit. So I'd get it from her. My friends were like, you always get nice clothes for yourself. Why don't you get it for us also? Why don't you start business? And this friend of mine in India said, why don't you start? I'll help you with it. I anyways have a unit here. I anyways mass produce and stuff. So I started that. And that also I did exhibitions at home. And then I did it in Hyatt and wherever there were opportunities, at the expo. The big D Ideas would organize those big exhibitions and stuff wherein Bollywood stars would come and all. So I did it there as well, ran that for about 3.5 years, and then realized that suddenly everybody's doing it. These small companies have sprung up. Even sometimes their companies weren't registered and they were doing this business. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Despite having like good number of clothes and putties and stock still left, I just decided, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I started gifting those around here and there. So I stopped that. And since, I've always been a very social person, I love organizing. I'm an organized person as well, who's very planned. And that came in handy when you had to organize a party here with 100 people or Diwali or, Holy Bash or whatever. And I love talking on the mic. So after like, two glasses of wine, I'd go to the DJ, hold the mic, get people to play games and this, that, and the other. So friends suggested launch yourself, as an MC. Maybe you have a career in that. And I was like, okay, not a bad idea. And then, every Diwali, we would all put up shows here. So that's when I realized, I said, you know what? The adults don't have a platform other than that once a year on Diwali, wherein we either put up a skit or a dance performance and, put so much effort. And the entire environment in the condominium would be like a college. People going here and there for rehearsals after dinner. And the kids have separate rehearsals going on, different age groups. And it's like a big thing. And everybody enjoyed that. And then that got over back to normal life, back to whatever you're doing, and no other platform. So, launching myself as an MC, alongside also providing a platform to adults who don't have that, brought about Dreamcatcher's inception. And that happened 10 years, 10.5 years back now, and it was fascinating. 10.5 years back, Indian community was still smaller. It was easier to know who's handling what, who's doing what. And beautifully, everyone came together and helped me through it. So, my first show was Love to Dance on 11th June. I launched my company in April in 2011. And 11th June was my first event, which was at DBS Art Center. It was house full. I had 60 participants in 8 different groups from like 6, 7 different nationalities participate. And I got MediaCorp coverage, I got Radio Masti coverage, I got India Say coverage. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful country to be a part of, where people are so encouraging of an entrepreneur who they don't know. And that's it. Then that's how the whole journey started, and there was no looking back.
Okay. So I noticed, actually, if you didn't stop, I was going to stop you and say, so the question asked, and I can't help but notice this. So let me bring it up. So the question asked you was, how did you move to Singapore and why from Delhi to Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But you sort of launched into, I want to say career, but I feel it's more of your passion.
Passion, that's right.
That's
Yes.
probably why you're launching into it, as opposed to just talking about the flight and how you got there. And what would be the other extreme? But yeah, but you really launched into the whole thing. So I want to ask a few humanitarian questions there, like
Shoot.
more under life choices, relationships, and things like that. So you said your was that your mom that convinced you, or
Yes.
your husband's mom?
No, my mom.
Your mom. All right. Obviously, you didn't want to leave because you were comfortable, I think. You said within 6 months, you thought you're going to live here, right?
Right.
I have 2 questions, but let's start with the first one. The first one is, do you think that it's a little bit unfair, or let's say if we sort of turn the tables a little bit? I'm not bringing this up because I'm a sexist or anything. I'm bringing it up because this is the way I see it in Indian cinema. And I feel like since my wife is also Indian, I feel like it's stuck in her head a little bit as well from her conditioning. Where what would happen, and I and her have had this chat several times, where what do you think would happen if, let's say, you were the one who got a job or a business opportunity in another country, let's just say Singapore, and let's just put a figure there. Let's say you're making 20 grand with this new job,
Mhm.
and your husband is had all of your circumstances, had run a business, then had stopped it, and probably has some savings, not probably not enough to sustain the two of you for the next 30 years, but then you've got this job, and hence, moving, might make financial sense, and so on and so forth. Do you think that you would have taken the same approach, and the relationship would have been the same, and would your husband have uh done something like, okay, yeah, I'll go along because you're earning more? Or would he have done something like, yo, I'm the man of the house, and this is India, so we'll go where I go, not where you go? So
How
have you
dare.
ever thought about this topic, discussed it?
Yeah. So my husband and I discuss a lot of fascinating topics, and it's nice to get each other's perspective, and that's how you grow your relationship, right? And you get to know each other better. I don't know about anybody else, but my husband definitely would have moved. So that's the love and understanding we have. And so we don't work as you and me, we work as a team together. So when you're working as a team, then you're looking at a bigger picture. Then you're looking at, oh, is it good for the both of us? Right. So if I had a flourishing business which was really doing well, I would have just put my foot down and said, no, I had my business. It's taken me years to set it up. I'm not going anywhere. And he would have been okay with the decision. But because I was at a point in my life where I was winding down my work, recession had hit, I wasn't anyways doing that. And I had a baby. So I needed that sabbatical and break from work anyways. So, I just needed a little bit of convincing. And it was, again, a very mutual decision. So it wasn't forced. It was only if you're comfortable, happy, okay. And, moms being moms are always like, oh, it's good for the both of you, and it's a new country, and it's a brighter opportunity, and all of that. I don't know where she was coming from. Of course, our well-being and everything, but maybe that, oh, your husband wants to do it, so do it. Maybe she had that at the back of her head. But as far as Himanshu and I go, it's always teamwork. It's always mutual decision. So yeah, he would have moved in a heartbeat if it was the other way around as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But that's good to know. So it's sort of practical. It's sort of like we're building something as a family,
Absolutely.
and so on and so forth. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the next question I had was about the 6 months figure you gave, which is, what happened in those 6 months, and was it better than India in any way? Was it different? Because you seemed like you were doing okay in India.
Oh, we were doing very well. We were doing very well. I think so. The first month we were at Great Pearl City in a service apartment. So, and then by the time we found a house here, got our house help. So I had a help in India, and she had seen me through my pregnancy because my parents were in Canada. And, whatever cravings I had, she was the one taking care of me. So it's funny, but one prerequisite for me to move here was that we get her along. So Imanshu had to work the hardest to get her passport done because, she would be moving around as a house help and didn't have a permanent address and all of that. So getting her a passport made was the biggest deal that time. And we moved her with us. So once we got a house here and she moved in and, we were kind of settled, and I got to know more and more people, that's when I felt like, whoa, this is such a beautiful country. It's so organized, it's so clean. And the help was really important, because I'm not a kitchen person at all. So for me, that was really important that the way my house was functioning back there, it should, smoothly function here as well. And then, I found groups for my kid to play as well. So that feeling of being settled, which I always craved because we always kept moving throughout, you know, came in those 6 months of knowing your way around, of knowing people, of then getting into that, okay, socializing bit and plans every weekend and the ease of life because distances aren't much here, right? Which is not the case in Delhi. So even on a distances aren't much here. And the social circle that we had was within the condominium. So even on a weeknight, we would just make a random plan. Oh, call a friend. What have you cooked? This. Okay, pick it up, come to my house. We watch a movie together. And both of us being social people, we just blossomed here. Whereas that wasn't the case in Delhi because people would only socialize weekend to weekend. That too, people had their extended families. So it wasn't always about meeting friends. So we didn't have that kind of group happening back there. And also because both of us were working. So, on the weekend, you just wanted to chill and be and not really socialize as much. So that kind of blossomed here and we just loved it.
That's amazing. I'm feeling good just listening to you talking about it. Okay. Yeah. So your husband got a job with do you want to say
Microsoft.
Microsoft?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So now you have two girls and they're Singapore citizens.
Yes, that's right.
And are you guys also Singapore citizens?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. So um do you have any plans to move out of here now or
No way. No way. So in fact, we just hypothetically talking about it couple of weeks back that, oh, it would be nice to explore. My husband was saying it would be nice to explore, say, in Australia or Europe somewhere and move for 2 years. And I just looked at him funny and I was like, you serious? After me putting 10 and a half years in my company, there's no way I'm moving out of here. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. So, yeah, so there is no way unless I stop working and unless I close the company down or it expands so much. Why close the company down? It expands so much that I have a big team taking care of it. Then maybe I'd probably move somewhere for a year or two to explore that continent or something. But otherwise, no way. No. And I'm a very content person. So I'm pretty okay retiring in this current house that I have. And I see myself growing old here, drinking a cup of coffee when I'm like 60, 70, 80, whatever. So that way, I'm very happy, very content. So many people were cribbing, oh, COVID, we haven't traveled in 2, 3 years. I'm so happy in my bubble and so content with my life, being here in Singapore, doing my job, doing my work, creating stuff that I didn't miss it for a bit. I didn't miss traveling at all.
Yeah.
So that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually quite similar in that sense because I feel the same way. And for me, I think that started when I was back in music college, where when you find that thing you can sink like hours into and just feel comfortable inside, you just don't want to move. Like
Absolutely. But
sometimes
I think that's a good place to be in. When you're happy with your life the way it is, and when you're creating stuff, and when you're creatively satisfied, then you're not always looking out for other things to then satisfy you. A
That's
trip
right.
here or a trip there or some excitement because I think my work gives me enough excitement.
Yeah, that's true. Let's since yeah. So now that that's the next thing we should talk about. So dream catchers, right? So here's what I remember, and I was thinking about it in the shower just now before getting ready, which is we first met at this place called Hood Bar, which was a bar. It's called Hood Bar, but it's more than a bar. It's sort of a bar come disco with a stage and a lot of high tables and stuff at Bugis. I don't know if it's still around. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Uh, but it was a music industry chat that I remember I went to because I was in music college in LaSalle, and I was sort of the guy in LaSalle in my batch that was like industrious and doing things and organizing open mics. Even a senior from the acting batch. In my first month there, he spots me. So in LaSalle, it's a very unique building. I don't know if you've been.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
So the grass in the center, it's called the frass, FRASS, because it's the fake grass. So the frass.
Okay.
So he sees me on the frass and he's like, I'm looking for you. And I was like, okay, and who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm your senior by 3 years, but I've been asking around and I need someone who's like hands-on and active to organize these events. And I was like, I'm looking at him like, yo, I entered the college knowing how to play only 2 songs. My parents are flipping out because I'm in music, because I was the top student all the way, and then I dropped out of engineering. So my parents are going mad, and you want me to take on extra stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's really easy. You can do it. So, well, I was that guy. And then I went there because I was actually quite pissed off with the band that I was playing in, because they weren't big, very professional. So they were like bringing beers to rehearsals, getting drunk, and I was skipping classes to go for the band photo shoot, for example, and then the band members would be fighting. In my mind, I'm thinking maybe my parents were right. This music thing's nuts. It's not how you build a future. but
Right.
but anyway, so that's where we met, and then I remember we had a sort of mini networking after the talk was over. And then I still remember that you were walking in front of your husband, sort of leading him around to the different tables. We're like, "Hi, I'm Shalima, and I'm with the Dreamcatchers. Have you heard of Dreamcatchers?" And we have a platform, and we have this, and we have that. And in my mind, at that point, because I mean, I was still not a teenager, but I was about 23, 20, 22, 23. I was a bit big headed, and I was like, obviously, this lady is from India, because my parents grew up in India, so I can tell from the accent and all that. And I was like, I was thinking, because at that point I was really scouting out the scene, because I wanted to make it in the music scene here. And so I knew everyone who's anyone in the music scene. And so when you were walking around, I was thinking like, I was like, who's this lady trying to do something new? That's one part of my brain. The other part of my brain was really excited. And I was like, yes, maybe we can make it in music. There's other crazy people like me out there who want to be. And so I was equally doubtful and excited at the same time. Yeah, and then I saw some stuff. I mean, you sent me, I think, to the website and the page and all that.
Right.
And to be honest, for a few years, I didn't know what you were up to, actually, until recently. I can't remember if I texted you or you texted me or something happened, and then I was like, oh yeah, of course. Like I should talk to Shalima, because I remember her. She was really enthusiastic. Oh, I think I remember what happened. I think when COVID started, everyone was on their own little healing journey thing.
Right.
We're also posting positivity quotes, and then I was
Right. Yes,
Let-
yes, yes,
we
yes.
spoke a little bit about that. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing similar things. But I honestly didn't know that your company was doing big things. I had no clue. So it was
Yeah,
it was a
we're
very
still
good.
taking baby steps, I think. No, initially when I started my company, right? And when you start something new, you're young, you want everyone to know about it. You're also a bit shameless, right? So I would carry my card, and even if I saw a random stranger walking on the road with a guitar, I would just go to him and hand him my card. Like, I have a platform. You holding a guitar, you're a guitarist, you're a musician, you're doing this, go at my platform. And I wasn't even charging anything to the artists, right? So randomly on Orchard Road, I would find people and hand them my card, and very shamelessly. And I did that for like good 2, 3 years till we started collaborating with NUS and then Radio Musty, and that's when the name started. I wasn't still earning anything, but at least people knew that Dreamcatchers is a platform for artists. So I guess when you're an entrepreneur and you're specifically in the creative field, you have to be a hardworking for sure, be a little shameless as well.
Yeah.
Like going out there, introducing yourself, literally telling people that post your video, let other people see it. We are aggregating videos of all artists and this, that, and the other, constantly repeating what you're doing to everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes takes a toll on your ego, right? Like, oh God, I'm working so hard. I'm not getting anything in return. I'm trying to, publicize these people and make them famous, and they're not realizing the value of it. So, yeah, it's been a hard journey, and eventually the hard work paid off. And we did do a lot of big events in collaboration by ourselves, found different ways of existing, and niche industry. And yeah, here we are today with a lot of productions under our belt and a lot of dreams that we've caught of other people. And that's the most satisfying part of it all,
Yeah.
providing platform to runway models providing platform to entrepreneurs, to artists, through theater, through films. And it's been really, really an interesting journey and a very satisfying one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you just said something very important there about the satisfying bit and like putting yourself out there. So I was having a chat with Anita Kapoor. I don't know if you know who she is.
No.
Okay, so she's like a host and a creative also, and she acts in like, I think she might have acted in films, but she does a lot of commercial work as well. And I first saw her at this festival called Music Matters. I should probably send this interview to her. So the first time I saw her on stage, I was like, "Yo, this chick is hot." And then I was like, "Who is this person?" And then we started talking, and then so then we had a little interview for my record label. I still haven't published that yet. I need to publish that soon. So she said to me, like, when you come from the heart, um, eventually people will take notice.
Yes.
And I'm thinking now that I've done all that spiritual work stuff, that maybe that's just a way of tapping into like divine energy and sort of fulfilling our actual missions here. And this sort of divine energy is so powerful that I've noticed that when I was younger and I would approach people and go like, "Yo, here's my song." People would be like, "Who's this jackass trying to let us listen to his song? I don't even know who this guy is." But when you do something from a point of love, I just talk to someone about their like problems or whatever, and then we become friends. And then I go by the way, I also do some music or whatever. And then they listen to it and they're like, "Yo, why didn't you say that first?" Because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I've kind of changed as a person. So yeah, but I also want to talk about the earlier part you said where you put out, the hard work and all that. And I have a similar story as well. I have a picture of me giving out like a sort of, I had no money at that point. So I was printing the artwork for my first song that I released solo on these little A5, A4 cut into two pieces, giving them out on the bus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was aggressive too. There was once at the bus stop, I was like, "Hey man, here's my new song. Do you want to check it out?" And then the guy looks up, he's like, "No." He's like, I'm like, "It's free." And then he's like, "No." And then I gave him attitude. I was like, "No, you don't understand. It's free. Like this takes hours and hours and weeks to make. It's free. You should check it out."
Yeah, exactly. How dare you refuse something that's free? You know?
Then I shoved it into his hand, and then he was giving me this very Singaporean reaction, like not shouting but very upset. But of course, that was just one guy.
You're giving in something free. I was giving away cash prizes here for the various contests that I ran, right from most wanted entertainer to music star wars. $500 cash prize for five top winners. $1,000 for top three winners, and still people would be reluctant to post, and once they won they would never come back again. And I just couldn't understand the psyche. I'm like, I'm not charging you anything. You just have to upload your video, and get your friends to go like it, and you're winning cash prizes. Like, dude, what are you thinking? Why would you not come back to the platform again and try your luck again?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people don't like something that comes so easy to them. They appreciate it more when they have to work hard for it.
Yeah.
So now I make people work hard for it.
Was the platform only in Singapore or?
No, so I realized that after doing the first event, Love to Dance, that the shelf life of an on-ground event is just about a couple of hours. And the kind of effort and time that goes into it is easily anywhere between 3 to 4 months. So that's how we started Dreamcatch as an online talent showcase company. So it was for the entire world. And luckily, social media just started coming in that time. So I would advertise everywhere and had a marketing company help me. So I spent money there as well. And so I would get entries, music videos from Russia and America and Canada and India and Malaysia and all of these places. And after the contest was over, I would be standing at the post office sending out money here and there and all of those places without any advertisers coming in. So I did, like give away a lot of money. But then in hindsight, when I think about it, I don't feel as bad because I remember, someone sending me a message from Philippines. This guy saying that I desperately needed that money to buy medicines for my mom, and so this cash prize that I got from you helped me do that. And that's when I realized that instead of being bitter about all the cash prizes that I sent out to these random strangers who uploaded their video on my platform, I was just being a channel, of God, maybe trying to help his people through me. And when I started thinking like that, I was like, okay, so that money was not supposed to be with me anyways. You know, it just went through me, and I was like just a channel. So that helped me, feel better about the investments that I did into the business, and I got wiser with time, and eventually started earning a little money.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So I really want to get into the money bit, and I want to get a little bit deep into the actual running of things, and maybe some incidents. If you can bring up some, I'll share with you some of mine to maybe get you fired up and think like, oh yeah, that person was a real idiot to me or whatever. You don't have to name names, but it's
I wouldn't.
yeah. But it's about lessons for people who are younger, who are coming up in the scene. Because I noticed when I was coming up in the scene, there was some really helpful people who helped me, but there were very few. So one of them, his name is Shahid. I don't know if you know him. Yeah, he was managing a bunch of English and Malay artists in the pop and hip hop space. Not just English and Malay. Yeah, English and Malay. Yeah. But so there was a really good band and so on and so forth. So he was really helpful when he didn't have to be. But other than that, there was a couple of people, but most people view it as competition. I also kind of sort of faced what you faced at the start, which is when you're being too nice and too free, people are like, yeah, this guy's probably nuts. Or maybe
They don't value the platform as much. Yeah.
yeah. Or maybe he's trying to get something from me. So so it's a bit weird. So at that point, there wasn't really a friendly community for musicians in Singapore. And I got so frustrated with the existing ones, I set up my own Facebook group. First, it was called Music and Musicians, because I was like, look, guys, this is about love. This is about music. It's about musicians. It's about us. And the rest of the Singapore, the more elite artists who I was trying to talk to and stuff, didn't really get, maybe they got it, but maybe they were too busy. So the next layer below them were totally toxic. I find like it's always like that in the different industries I've been. The people at the top are all like gods. Like you talk to them, like they'll they'll help you. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you're 20 years younger than me. Come, let me buy you coffee. Let me show you what to do. Let me groom you." And then just below them, they form like this kind of barrier where they sort of jealous and not jealous, but maybe insecure.
Insecure. Yes, that's the right
This
word.
this person's gonna take over me and go to the top or whatever. So I then eventually I realized, yo, I worked very hard when I was in LaSalle to sort of meet all the different people in music in Singapore, and I didn't really associate with any clique because there were a lot of cliques. And they were like, oh, we're not friends with this group, and this one's not friends with that group. And I was like, I'm just gonna be friends with everyone because I'm here to play music. I'm not here to make
Right.
friends. I already have friends.
Right,
So
right.
I have too many friends already. So this is about the music for me. So then I renamed the group to Singapore Music. And then now it's like the biggest Facebook group for Singapore music
Oh, fantastic.
on Facebook. Yeah. So we have like 5,400 plus members. It's not really an email list or anything yet. It's just a Facebook group. But the banner spot is kind of available for people to post whatever they want to. So yeah, and I totally get what you're saying about the having to work hard at the start and all that. Yeah, but let's get into the next exciting bit. Let's get into the money bit for a second. There are probably going to be many artists watching this, not just when it's published, but even down the line, based on my background and your background. So a lot of people want to do art, whether that's a 50-year-old who's never explored making an art piece or a song or something, or someone like in the thick of the industry just watching this and whatever. So it seems like in Singapore, it's really hard to make money from art. I mean, worldwide also. But I was just speaking to Sandra recently she used to be from this band called the Sam Willows. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was like one of the best English bands in the country, like pop. I think they were the English pop band from Singapore. And so now they're all doing their own individual projects, I think. And so I was having a chat with her. I think I'm most similar to her compared to the rest of the people in the band. And she, like many other YouTubers who I was acting with before in the past, also, they all told me that yes, we do make some money from music and art, but we also do make a lot of money from other things like being a influencer, being a creator, making our own art, selling our own art. But they do like three or four things to make, And I'm not saying that that's like not the right path or anything, but you do hear of those success stories like Michael Jackson. I don't know, let's just pick someone from India, like Veer Das, maybe. Then maybe like India, Canada, like Russell Peters,
Right.
Shah Rukh Khan, everyone, Elizabeth Taylor, Meryl Streep, whatever, everyone. So
Right. Right.
they seem to be doing one main thing, which is making a lot of money. And then either because, they're broke or they want to expand, either reason, they branch off into different ventures, whether that's ads or starting a energy drink company or whatever, tequila.
Right. Right. Or restaurants or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Like Bon Jovi has a restaurant and all that. So, what's your journey been like with maybe dream catchers or just overall in the art scene? Anything you want to share with us or with upcoming artists who might be watching this? Do tell them the truth. Maybe like don't lie. I know you won't lie, but I just want to say that so they know what we're saying. And yeah, as much as you can share would be good, so people get an accurate impression of what they're signing up for when they sign up to do arts.
Absolutely. No. Initially when I launched the company, as I mentioned, I was giving away cash prizes. And as an entrepreneur, you have that in your head somewhere that, oh, this is the investment stage. Like a couple of years, you just need to invest, invest, invest. And you just have to persevere and be there and not expect any returns. And also, I also came from that mindset. And then I started getting restless because I was like, this is a lot of money we've invested, right? We got the website done. I was paying a marketing company. We were also, then building microsites when we partnered with NUS and all of that. And I had a couple of people on the payroll to help me with stuff. And then when, something within me triggered that, dude, it's not supposed to be so much investment. That's when I started taking full charge of my company. I was like, okay, begin with, I don't need the marketing company. I have enough time to then sit and figure out how to do it myself, the social media marketing. So I did that. And by that time, I'd had enough following and also enough, uh, you know, like feel of the market that, oh, this works, this doesn't work, this is how it is, and networked enough. So, I started cutting down on expenses, taking on more to myself, instead of relying on sources outside to do and then pay them for it. So, A was cutting down expenses. B was collaborating in a fashion where I could get paid for it because you are putting in those number of man hours, you're promoting other companies, artists, their gigs, and then you need to get paid for it.
Right.
And when you have, see, it's a chicken and an egg thing always. You can't get paid if you don't have enough clout, right? So when you have that kind of database with you of people who are listening to you, people who know what you do, that's when you can start charging the other companies for your services. So that's what started happening gradually when I started collaborating, and they knew the kind of hard work that I would put into it, and they saw the difference. Whenever they invited me to be a part of their concerts and do marketing for them, do a nationwide online talent showcase wherein then the winner performed with the celebrity that was coming from India, it definitely helped with ticket sales as well because you are spreading the word amongst everyone. You could build a Taj Mahal and nobody knows about it. It's a wasted thing, right? So, in any industry for that matter, you could have the best designer clothes. But if people don't know that you're into the business or you sell these designer clothes, it doesn't help. And that's when a company that has an outreach can help you. And that's what I started becoming gradually, through my events, through the database that I had, because we did niche kind of events. So it wasn't just artists, then it wasn't just, musicians. I branched out into runway. So this is when I launched Runway Mom. That was a niche platform again. It's a platform for women, irrespective of their age, size, height, nationality, to walk the fashion ramp, and then feel like a celebrity. And the USP was non-competitive. So when it's women, the whole family is included in it. So that's where the sponsor database also increases, because now you're looking at the entire family. It's the gentleman, it's the woman, it's the children, different age group of children. So that's how people started associating with us also, because we were then offering them these people, the database of these people. And it was a win-win situation for both, because these runway moms are also looking at buying designer outfits, which are trustworthy, easy, simple, or investment platform, which then we are like getting the two of them to meet together, because they were anyways walking with their children, with their spouse. And when the whole family is included in it, your sponsored database also increases, because then it could be anywhere from an insurance person to a property agent to a clothes vendor to a jewelry person. And it's a win-win situation always. It's not just, oh, I'm getting them on board. They benefited in return. And what happens is, when you do your work with sincerity and you're in it for a long haul, and it's not just fly by night one event and you fleece the people and run away, you do put your heart and soul into it. Right. So when our investors and sponsors saw that we were giving them way more than we promised in return, they would come back to us again and again and again for different kinds of events. So we did Runway Mom. We've completed 6 seasons of it. Up until now, we've done Superstar Singapore, Runway Talent Hunt, which is again a platform for artists across age groups and across performing arts, which has never happened. It's either, singers competition or dancers competition. It's never across age groups and across performing arts. So right from a stand-up comic to a storyteller to a singer, a dancer, a musician, everyone had a place in our contest, and they joined. And I started doing events in partnership with ZTV. And that's when it started coming on TV to, 12.6 million viewers across 18 countries. So by God's grace, I've done 6 events in partnership with ZTV. And
Right.
I
So
think that's,
we are sorry, just to check that. So they're like a broadcast partner,
no, they are like partners, they're co-producers. So right
but
from
do they?
organizing the whole thing, to sharing the P&L, to then broadcasting what we are doing, everything like any two partners would. And
Right.
I feel very humbled and grateful that such a big company would then, come on board as partners with the dream catchers. So it's a beautiful partnership where it
Right.
works out so nicely when, each party is very respectful, each party is putting in their 100% and coming with their value systems and their core strengths, right? So I am connected to people here, and then they help us put that out on TV to a huge audience. So it's like a win-win situation, that partnership. And so through that, we started earning money for our events. And when you're putting in like 12 hours of work straight, 3 months, for any event, 3 to 5 months for any event, you do need to earn some money out of it. And I don't
Yeah.
think anyone who participated with us ever felt like, oh, it wasn't worth it, because we always gave more than what we promised. And I think that's touch would be in
Right.
our success mantra. Be it our sponsors, be it people who associate with us, we have tried to give back way more than promised, always.
Right. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking about the hard work and the events. Yeah, because in 2011, while I was in art school, was Dreamcatchers around in 2011?
Yes. So we launched in 2011.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I think that's when we met, and
Right.
things were very inspiring in the air. So
Right.
that same year, I ran a music festival on Orchard Road at a youth park. So actually what happened was my friend used to run a jamming studio. It's called Alliance Music Group, so AMG. And that year he had partnered up with Youth Park, and Youth Park said, "We'll only sponsor you if you get a youth to run it," because he wasn't a youth. So he
Oh,
was
okay.
older.
Right.
So I was like his most again the most active guy he saw in the music scene at that age group. So when I came to the jamming studio one night with my band, he was like, "Hey, you, I need you to spend your next 9 months running this festival." And I was
Oh,
like,
wow. It was a 9-month commitment.
"Yo, I'm in college. There's no way." He's like, think about. He's like, "Dude, school is one thing. Industry is industry. You need to learn about the industry and all that." So I jumped at the chance. I skipped classes. I don't think my
But
parents.
you learn way more while you're in the field, doing things and learning from your mistakes and networking and interacting. Yeah, that's always the case.
So sponsorships, and so we had like Starbucks and Clio and Red Bull and a bunch of others.
Right.
Also, we partnered up with this company called Eco Singapore.
Right.
So the head of that company, I think his name was Wilson. Wilson, yeah. So he helped for a while, but in the end, it was just me and like three girls from LaSalle doing the whole shebang.
Wow.
Now they work in theater, and we had about 60 acts over 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge number to manage.
Yeah. So I was skipping classes. That was my full-time job then. And so my grades at LaSalle went down, 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 down.
And I'm sure you didn't pay any of those 60 gigs anything, right?
No, it was free.
So coming back to the artists earning money in Singapore,
Yeah.
it's a bit tough. Like I don't know too many people who are doing very well with this as their bread and butter. I know a lot of people who love and are passionate about acting, theater, films, whatever, but this is not their bread and butter. So they have a corporate job or they have a separate job, and then they do this for fun, for passion, for a creative outlet. So I myself have slogged and worked hard and done so many productions. It's been for passion and fun. So you can't even count that payment as any payment. It's just like here, go have some coffee and come kind of a payment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we ran that whole thing with just, I think, $3,500. And so my friend who was AMG, Alliance Music Group, he supplied all the music equipment free because it was his festival in a sense. Youth Park supplied the venue, and I used that 3,500 from I think it was Youth Council, who I went to pitch to. And during the pitch, I remember I at that point I was a different man. I was very like
optimistic.
Yeah, optimistic, and I was like, I'm the guy. So I was like a business head. I honestly don't know where that business head has flowed to now, the business team. But now
You've become more grounded, which is nice. So you become more grounded in life. Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, so I walked into the pitch and I was like, we need 200 for this, 300 for that, 600 for this, blah, blah, blah. And the funders are looking at me, they're going like, why do you need $30 for hangers? Because there was a fashion students as well from LaSalle displaying their stuff. And I said, well, because I can't use a 50-cent hanger to hang their piece of work that they worked on for like 9 months. It's a gown. I can't hang a gown on one of those plastic hangers. Are you crazy? It's an exhibition. So they were like, oh, okay. And then eventually the funding came through. But I was very transparent with all the artists, and I told them like, I'm a musician myself. And I was like, yo, even I want to perform, even I want some fame, but I'm organizing this for you guys. I'm in school. And I was like, I'm going to send all the artists the entire finance records for the whole festival. So just so you guys know, nobody's eating up anything. And so, and I also got in some guest acts. So I spoke to some people who are a bit higher in the industry and said, can you be like the guest artists? So for the rest of the artists, what we did was we had an audition. Me and some other people were judging. And then, so they would get a chance to perform with the guest artists. And the guest artists were good. It's not like, I've seen a lot of competitions in Singapore where people are like, oh, pay $60 to enter and then you perform with the guest artist, but the guest artist is like your friend. It's like, stop taking my money. So, so these guest artists, one of them was a duo. One of the girls now works with A.R. Rahman and did at that time as well. Another guest artist was quite famous in Singapore and the Chinese scene. So I really managed to pull in the right crowd.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you're inspiring me now to continue this. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. You must. You must.
Maybe we can. Maybe
And you know what? Meditate on it. Since you believe in this, meditate on it. You will get your answers that, yeah, this is the right path to do. And yeah, who knows? This is the beginning of something new for you with the new year.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, let's just jump into spirituality for a sec. So, a couple of years back, when I was in the thick of my spiritual awakening, I rented an office and just meditated. I mean, a cubicle, and then just meditated all day and like lit candles and did the crystal healing and all that stuff. And I did an angel reading because somehow in the sky every day there would be these angel shapes. And I was like, let's do an angel reading. And the stuff that I channeled was quite profound. And a lot of it has come true. And one of it said, I was like, what would I be doing in the future for work? And it said you would be running events in topics that are true. That could be music, that could be, I don't know, spirituality. Let's see what happens,
Right.
If COVID thing disappears.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. Wish you all the best for that.
aside from organizing all this and humanitarian work and just giving yourself, giving to other people, I find another way that we're kind of similar is you also are kind of talented and you're using that talent to be an artist, like act. And yeah, tell me more about that because I know you act, but I
Right.
don't know the in-depth what you do exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you did say a lot.
This is again very fascinating because I always wanted to be an actor. And right from my third grade, I was like very clear in my head, I want to be an actor. But actors were not really looked upon at that time. So if you go tell your parents, I want to be an actor, like, yeah, okay, you'll grow out of this, kind of thing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And again, after my college, I was again like, oh, I want to pursue acting. And both my parents were kind of reluctant. But since they've always been very supportive, they said, okay, what do you need to do? And, luckily for me, my neighbor was into that industry of fashion, of modeling in Delhi. And she was associated with an advertising company. And so they had an audition, and my dad took me, because we were a very close knit family. So he said, okay, I'll take you. And he had to wait like good 1.5, 2 hours. And it was like getting late at night now. And all other girls were much older than me. And, they knew how to dress, how to do makeup. I just got up and went to give the audition. And then, people are smoking sitting at the reception and scantily clad, and wasn't the right kind of environment for my dad to be sitting and waiting for me, right? And then worrying, oh my God, what is she getting into? And something within me said, forget it. If you can't be going around giving auditions on your own and you have to drag your dad everywhere, maybe this is not the line for you. And Delhi didn't have much scope anyway. All of the action was happening in Mumbai. And there was no way I was so committed that I would fly and try my luck and be there all alone by myself in Mumbai. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me just do what I've already trained for. I've done fashion designing and I'm a graduate and this, that, and the other. So I gave up on that dream. Much later, when we moved to Singapore, I attended one of the shows here and I saw a friend of mine who's a couple of years older performing at that. And suddenly, again, something struck within me saying, oh, there's no age to this. I've always wanted to be an actor. I did that with my friends, as I mentioned, Diwali, this thing, that thing, or just having fun, being the Naughty, the drama queen, and all that. And I said, so there's not really an age to something like this. And I enrolled myself in a couple of classes. And I gave auditions and I got selected and I started performing in theater. And now some of my friends tell me that initially when we saw you, we were like, oh, she's so bad. There's no way she'll succeed in acting or anything like that. But because I mean, I was like, really? I never thought of myself as being bad. And that kept me going probably. So so I kept doing these gigs with other production companies. And then I said, I organize events, so why don't I marry the both? Acting and producing. And then there was a friend of mine and she said, yeah, let's do it together. And so we launched Timeless Tales Theatre Festival. So I became from an actor, I became a producer and actor. And then COVID hit, right? So I started doing short films. And these were like literally zero budget short films within, our house. And so I always had that thing, I'm not creative enough, so I can't write. But COVID hit, and who would have written a story for me to act in? So I wrote it myself. And that's what I tell my children now, that never label yourself with, I am not good at that or I am not good at this. Then you're sort of putting yourself in a box. Don't do that. Let the whole world be open to you to whatever you want to achieve. And when I started writing these stories and producing these films, and they were so well received, they won many awards, and so many people messaged saying that resonated with me. Oh, yeah, I have a friend who, suffered through this because I made films like on mental health, on, marital abuse and stuff like that. And so it was giving a message to society while exploring my own creative, aspects as well of being a producer, a writer, and an actor. And that's when we did Timeless Tales Film Edition, because now I had that experience and expertise of making short films. And they were well received. At least the awards we got kind of told us that. And the platforms that took it in, so there's this platform called Pocket Films, which is a huge platform for short films. They took in our films and they have like a subscriber base of 3.4 million viewers. Then Touching Hearts is another platform which has about 2.4 million viewers, and they showcase these films. So that kind of kept giving me that confidence that, oh, wow, okay. And then, I wrote a short story which got selected for another book, which is right now under a publication. So I'm going to be, once it's published, I'm going to be a published author as well. So, I was like, never say no. Instead of saying, oh, I'm not creative enough to write, give it a shot. What will happen? You will fail, at least you would have tried, right? So I then, and the second thing that I want to share with the viewers here is keep enhancing your skills. If I just walked into the whole acting thing with like, oh, I know it, and I've been doing it since childhood, whatever, I would have been the same person which my friends couple of years down the line now that have not perfected, but has become much better at it. So now they can come and tell me on my case, so when you started, we thought, oh God, what is she doing? She's not so good. But because I kept enhancing my skills and kept learning and, kept doing these courses which taught different things, then, every time you look at a film, you're not just a viewer watching it. Now you're seeing it from very different aspect and eyes. You're looking at the camera angle, you're looking at the acting, you're looking at the reaction, you're looking at a million things in that little screen. True. And that is a fascinating part of it, when you immerse yourself in something and you keep learning and enhancing and growing. There's another thing called ikigai, which I'm sure you've heard of, so that's the way of being. You're something that gets you to get up in the morning all excited and, alive, is something that you're so passionate about. So when you find that and you're living that, I think that's the most beautiful life to live, you know. And with acting, I think I found my ikigai. So as an artist, I love what I do. As an entrepreneur, I love what I do. Let's see what life has to unfold. So far, writing, producing, acting, organizing events which are different, niche, providing that platform to people where they feel loved and special and great. And that in turn is so soul satisfying. I can't tell you. I think I'm at a very good space right now. Touch wood.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I can feel it from what you're saying. But I'm also the same way. So I totally get it. Like you have the art brain, but then you have the producer brain as well.
Right.
Yeah, and then the entrepreneur brain. So yeah, I know exactly.
It kind of helps. Yeah, it kind of helps to have all that in house, and then the whole world is open to you.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is. And even in music, it surprised a lot of people when people's knowledge is based on what they can see of you. So they don't know what you know. So you know in your head, like, hey, I run all these events, but you know what? I have a creative streak that's going to produce these movies, and I'm also going to write books and whatnot. So you know that. But if you try to tell
Right.
someone that 15 years ago, they'll be like, you're crazy because you haven't done anything.
Absolutely.
And if you do it,
Absolutely.
they go like, oh, how talented you are. See,
Exactly.
like, see, that's what I was trying to tell you 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
you weren't getting
You didn't believe me then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens always, I guess. And another thing is, when you have your heart at the right place,
Yeah.
things work out and they work out beautifully. So I think the combination of you being grounded and spiritual and then aligning that with your ikigai, your work, your passion, it just makes life much easier. That's what I've experienced and felt.
I feel so too, yeah. Totally. That's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Most
Yeah.
welcome.
I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be inspired by this long interview of ours.
Yes, I know. It's been long.
So we should probably chop it up into parts or something. And
Yes, you know what? Because did you see my recent one? The one I sent you? It's, I think, barely 10 minutes or something. And, people find it difficult to take out that 10 minutes to watch as well, right? But then people who did watch loved what I had to share. It was just basic 5 questions and I answered, and it was
Yeah.
short and crisp. I've also given interviews, which with companies, they have this bite-sized stuff. So
Yeah.
they asked me like 15 questions and they shared bite-sized answers. Like I would answer within like a minute or maximum 2.5 minutes. And they had different buckets, like your take on dressing up shop, your take on being an entrepreneur, your take on this, your take on that. And then they would put it in their website under different headings. So what happens, like even with TikTok now, the capacity to consume information is between 30 seconds to max 3 minutes. The minute the video you see, it's 1 hour, they will switch off. I'll see it when I have time. And that never happens. So for this to be impactful, I think if you cut it down to, I know it's a lot of work, but say anywhere between 5 to 10 minute segments, it'll be consumed better.
Yeah.
Rather than like, half an hour or 45 minutes or 1 hour long thing, then people tune out because we've spoken so much.
I have my own theory on this whole tuning out thing, which could go for another 30 minutes. But
Well, no, when I have to rush now.
Let's save that for the next interview.
Sure.
But I get the feeling like in 10 years, maybe, we might be industry leaders in different things. And I feel like the people who really want the knowledge, they'll hang on to every minute, every second.
The number is very minuscule. That's the whole issue.
The number is less,
Yeah.
but at least we're reaching the right people. But this is a whole different debate, and it can go on.
Right.
Even the business world is the same debate going on.
Right.
To get qualified.
No, so see, these days I'm doing a podcast and it's just about a minute and a half. So I read poetry. It's with a company called Kya Matlab in India. Right. So there's just today I sent them another one, Amrita Preetam. It's a minute and a half. And in that also I see there are about 500 views. I think, good heavens, people can't take out a minute and a half, And it's interesting poetry. It's by known poets, Nida Hazli, Amrita Preetam, and Gulzar and everything. Still, the time is so limited that they will keep it with them for a time later. I have to do that. I will see it. But then they don't get down to doing it because there are so many distractions. So short, crisp, it has more chances of being consumed.
Cool. I might put this into the recording as well. You're okay with that, right?
Okay, sure.
It's a very current topic. Lots of people want to learn about business, want to learn this stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was fabulous chatting with you, and I don't even know where like almost 2 hours went.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's. I just want to say, for all the things you're building, actually, I should be talking to the audience. Let me put that in the bloopers. So, hey guys, if you want to find out a little bit more about what Shalima does, then we'll be putting all those links, whichever she thinks are relevant, in the description. So scroll down on this video to the description and go click those links, check her out. Can they touch base with you? They can.
Absolutely.
You can find her on social media. And yeah, my links will be below that. My name is Zephyr. This was episode 1 of the Zephyr Show.
Yeah. The host guest.
Thanks so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Stay blessed, be kind, spread love. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.